Hey dear friends, today I want to talk a little bit about symmetrical scales, especially the half-tone whole-tone scale and the whole-tone half-tone scale. And I just want to say, with all those scales, there's a lot of scales and there's a lot of names. So I guess there are more names for scales than scales itself. So if you learn about a new scale and you don't know what it is, be sure that you check the DNA of a scale, right? So the DNA, of a scale is like the order of whole tones and half tones. To put it very simple, if I would be playing an F major scale on the E string, and I always like playing scales on one string because it makes it so very clear what's going on. So I'm playing the F major scale. I think that's a scale everybody knows. Then the DNA would be like whole tone, half tone, whole tone, half tone. And there's only one scale with this DNA, and this is called the major scale, Ionian scale, right? So with the symmetrical scales, many people talk about the diminished scale. If you Google it, and you'll find this DNA, which is like half tone, half tone, whole tone. And it's called a symmetrical scale since it's always the same thing going on. It's always a half tone and then a whole tone. And it's also very interesting because it has 8 notes. You know, our typical scales have like 7 notes, but this one has 8 notes. And if you play it like I did, I wouldn't say it's a diminished scale because this scale doesn't go very well over a diminished scale. It goes very well over a dominant 7th scale because our first tone would be an F, right? And if we think about the intervals, the telephone number, we have a flat 9, sharp 9, then we have a major 3, we have a sharp 4, 5, we have a 6, a flat 7, and then we have the root again. So we're having like an F7 13 chord with a flat 9. So it's sort of a mix of a Mixolydian scale and an altered scale. It starts altered if you want to, and then it ends Mixolydian. And so, you know, a chord, the most important notes in a chord are always 1, 3, 5, 7, right? And in this case, it's a little tricky, right? Because we have a minor third, but we also have a major third. But we also have a flat 7. And so I know, because I have a flat 7 and a major third in the same scale, that way I know it's a dominant 7th scale, and that way I know this is not a minor third but a sharp 9. Sort of, if you have a scale that contains the major third and the flat 7, if there's a minor third in it, it becomes a sharp 9. It also goes with the chords as well, right? And then, of course, when you think about it, we start the scale with the half tone and then the whole tone. But you can, of course, also start a scale here. Let's start on the G flat and then play a whole tone, half tone. Right? So we're just starting on another degree. It's a lot alike with the modal scales, right? And let's do, to really understand what we're doing, do the same thing but starting on the F again, right? So we're using the same DNA that we got starting from the 2nd degree, but we're using it from the 1st degree. And if you're having any trouble with like the modes, like Dorian, Mixolydian, you can do the same thing playing a major scale, for example, from the 2nd degree, and then writing down the DNA, the halftone and the halftone and the whole tone steps And then starting that same scale, if it would be a D, right, in C major, then take this D and A and start from the C. Then you can really realize it's a different scale. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I will explain it another time again. But anyways, what we're doing now, we have been starting with a whole tone, half tone. Now we're starting with whole tone, half tone. The other way around. And that's actually a diminished scale. So we have the F, then we have a 9, we have a flat 3, we have a sharp 4. So we have a flat 3 here, but no major 3. So I already know we are minor, right? Flat 5, 6, major 7. And this scale, if I skip every second note, I'm having a F diminished. Try it, right? Because diminished is nothing else than minor thirds stacked upon each other. And then I'm having an extra note, if you want to, that's approaching always the next note. So the 9, the 2, the 9 going to the minor third, the 4 to the flat 5, the flat 6 to the 6, and the major 7 to the flat 7. So this would be an F diminished chord, like F with a 0, right? And then the options, the colors of this chord would be like 9, 11, flat 13, and major 7. Give it a try, it sounds really cool. So if you take this chord, the G7, 13 flat 9, you can play like. And then you can, starting on each note, build a triad. So I have the root is the G, the next note is the B flat, but I could also say it's the B. So I can choose between a minor and a major third. Then I skip another note, and then I can choose between a flat 5 or a 5. So I could play a minor, G minor chord, or a G major chord, or I could play like a G minor half diminished with a flat 5, or a G major with a sharp 4, which is kind of interesting. And all those chords are in this scale. I'm going to use a G minor flat 5 chord because I checked out a Michael Brecker sequence, and he is playing one with this half diminished chord. So let's check out how that works. We have the G, the B flat, and the D flat. So our next note is the A flat, then the C flat, and then I have the A flat minor. And now, to make it a little bit easier for me, I'm going just to shift the same sound, always starting on the E string, right? So I'm going to play this triad. Sorry. I'm going to play it in the same fingering on the same strings, just to get the sound into my ear, and when I hear it, I can later try to play it in the position, right? So this is like a nice trick. I'm going to record myself a G7 chord on my looper. Only thinking about the G half tone whole tone scale here. So visualizing the scale on one string and then just moving this one shape. And I can play one descending, ascending, one descending. just going to look for the same shape of a minor flat 5 triad. So I'm playing the root, the minor third, and now I'm playing. This time I'm visualizing the scale on the D string, right? And let's try how that sounds. Let's try to do it a little faster. So what I want to say is that you can find really like visual patterns or in the scale and then just play them across the fretboard. Try to get them up to speed. It's a lot of fun. And then the cool thing, what you can do is, this is a G7 chord, but it's also a B flat 7, D flat 7 or an E7, right? You can sort of change the root. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to play the same sequence and I'm going to say, okay, it's an E7 now. Not analyzing anything. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to think about where an E7 would resolve to, and that would be the A major. So I'm going to record me 2 bars of E7 and 2 bars of A. Just going to play this sequence. And I'm going to try to resolve it to the A major just by ear. So basically you can think about different dominant 7th chord and where would they resolve to. Over the 5 chord, the dominant 7th chord, the scale stays the same. But then of course it has to resolve to a tonic and the tonic changes. And I think that's a cool idea. Let's record that loop. Ah, fuck. Yeah, so this is really nice, a nice thing. I'm playing this like triplet feeling that sort of sounds like Rosenwinkel immediately. But yeah, just check out the scale, because if you think about it, you can sort of, I sort of see it as a spaceship. So I see this shape of this G, 13 flat 9, or maybe I see another shape, right, depending, but maybe I see this shape and just see it in the different positions, and it's always the same visual pattern of a scale hanging onto this chord, and then it's easy to change position. I find it easy to change position, and then when it resolves I just have to check where the tonic is, and on the tonic I'm playing something very clear, like triads as well, like over the A major, like an A major arpeggio or an A major triad. If it's resolving to mine, I would play like an A minor triad, because to, you know, you have the tension, which is so cool, but then be sure that it's really clear how you resolve it. And yes. Endless possibilities. So let me know if you have any cool sequences and tricks for this scale, and I see you next week. Bye bye.